Now, here's a great question. Was Adam Coleslaw better off being a manager in the WWF over what he's currently doing now? Now, when it comes to his feud with Chris Jericho, I felt like, wow, this feud proves that Tony Khan does not know what he's doing. This is a sign that, yes, he is an awful booker of professional wrestling shows. Listen, this match is supposed to be a dream match, right? For most fans, because Jericho is a guy that Adam Coleslaw looked up to. This is his favorite wrestler growing up. Okay, they dropped the ball because why is this dream match booked as a gimmick match? So their first feud, their first match was a gimmick match, not a regular standard match. These two guys are regarded as top 20 wrestlers in the world right now when it comes to how fans view them. People want to see these two guys have a regular standard wrestling match, especially their first time out. Now you get to a point where people don't want to see these two guys wrestle based on their first match because you dropped the ball. Their first match was supposed to be like a 4-star, 5-star classic, right? That's how you book wrestling shows. If you have a dream match on your hands, on your plate, their first match was supposed to be a regular standard tech wrestling match, not a gimmick match that was all over the place, right? If these guys was on Raw or SmackDown, we would have saw a regular standard match at a pay-per-view for like 20 minutes, not a gimmick match. Listen, since day one, when it comes to All Elite Wrestling, they have dropped the ball on Adam Coleslaw, as I predicted. I knew this guy was not going to be a game changer. I knew he was going to be exposed. Why? Because Triple H, he hid all his flaws. Tony Khan, he's too much of a fanboy to hide Adam Coleslaw's flaws. He don't think he has flaws, but yes, he does have flaws. Right now, Adam Coleslaw is nothing more than a theme song. Eventually, people are going to turn on Adam Coleslaw. Eventually, when people say Adam Cole baby, that reaction will get smaller and smaller and smaller. The worse he's booked, nobody will chant Adam Cole baby. Nobody will say it. Based on how he's booked now, it's like eventually nobody is going to care about this guy. I'm like, dude, he was better off as a manager in the WWF. Because look, if he was to be a manager, eventually, okay, obviously, he was going to eventually not be a manager and just start being a wrestler. See, a lot of people don't talk about that aspect. People felt like it was an insult to make Adam Coleslaw a manager. And I'm like, bruh, they made Leo Rush a manager, and eventually he started wrestling matches when he was with Bobby Lashley. So, dude, they had a game plan for Adam Coleslaw. Make him a damn manager at first, then transition back into that ring. People thought Adam Coleslaw was going to be buried. Okay, now look where he's at. Do you care about Adam Coleslaw right now as we speak? Nobody does. He's been exposed. And look, I'm sure he's a nice guy in real life, but he needs to focus on his health in terms of, bruh, he does not work out. That match he had with Chris Jericho, man, he looked so small. And I'm like, man. Now, when he was in NXT, was he in shape? Somewhat. He wasn't in great shape. Look, people act like Adam Coleslaw was always this guy that was in great shape. No, he was not. Dude, I have videos talking bad about this guy's appearance when it comes to his body. ever since he was in NXT. Dude, this guy never had a great physique. Dude, let's go back to his promo battle with Karrion Kross. He was a small guy in that promo. Like, y'all act like he has dropped 25 pounds since leaving NXT. I'm like, huh? It's like, look, yes, he looks worse, but not by much. It's like, you people are trying to say this because he's not being booked well, right? But his body, to me, what are you looking at? His body hasn't really changed all that much. You people are starting to wake up because he's not being booked well. See, when you are not being booked well, your flaws get exposed. When he was in NXT, he was godlike. He was booked like Superman. Nobody could touch this guy, right? So that's why you didn't notice how small he was. I'm like, people are saying this guy was going to be the next Shawn Michaels. And I'm like, bruh, he's too small. Shawn Michaels was bigger than this guy. So don't even put him in the same breath as Shawn Michaels. He had these numbskulls like that little dwarf from New York saying that Adam Coleslaw was a future WrestleMania main event. Well, bitch, that didn't age well. Because I knew this guy was not going to be good on the main roster. He wasn't going to make it. Hence why Vince saw him as a manager. So by your logic, how was Adam Coleslaw's body better in NXT if Vince still didn't see it? Bruce Pritchard didn't see what all you dorks saw. For years and years and years, I said, why is Adam Cole so small? It's like, since he was in NXT, now people want to jump on a bandwagon. What has changed? Nothing. He's still small. He was always small. In fact, Karrion Kross, he almost said that in a promo battle. But guess what? Triple H did not allow him to say it. That's how protected Adam Coleslaw was. There was certain stuff that people couldn't say to him. They couldn't say he was too small. Because for some strange reason, Adam Coleslaw is very sensitive when it comes to his size. I'm like, okay, stop it. Change it. If you are so sensitive about your look, about your body, okay, bitch, change it. Stop playing video games. If you don't want people to say how small you are, change it. Hit the fucking gym. Stop playing video games. It gets to a point where, dude, from what I heard, Adam Coleslaw had no issue being a manager for Keith Lee. That was not his issue. His issue was they wanted to take away his Twitch channel and take it over. He said no. So the only reason this dude left was because he wanted to play video games. But he's a WrestleMania main event with that warped mindset? Like, what? So you left because, in hindsight, you wanted to play video games on Twitch? I'm like, wow. And looking back, that didn't age well. He looks stupid now. Because now, people are allowed to use Twitch in the WWF. So he is stuck. He looks stupid and he is stuck. Now they are allowed to use Twitch on the main roster now. So now look at his bad decision years later. He looks stupid now. Now his rep is like, it's done. Nobody takes Adam Coleslaw seriously as a main eventer. And him with Jericho was not doing him any favors. Like I said, why couldn't they have a regular standard match? Right? That made sense. Why a gimmick match where Adam Coleslaw was in street clothes? I'm like, what? This is his idol. Jericho, Adam Coleslaw. His idol versus the guy who he looked up to? Like, bruh, that has to be a regular standard match. When it comes to the first round of their feud, yes. Then the second match has to be a gimmick match. That's how you book it. It's like, if that is a dream match, it needs to be a regular standard match. Second match, gimmick match. But, bruh, nobody cares about Adam Coleslaw now. He has been exposed. And him being paired up with Britt Baker, that's not doing him any favors too. Seriously. It's like, man, he is very, very close to becoming the next Cody Rhodes. And here's what I mean. I'm like, dude, remember when people got tired of Benny Rhodes and Cody? Eventually, that's going to be Adam Coleslaw and Britt Baker. Eventually, that crowd will turn on Adam Coleslaw and Britt Baker. Just, dude, be patient. They will be the next Cody and Brandy. And then people will beg Adam Coleslaw to go back to his old brand. Like I said, he was better off just being a manager. Because eventually, they were going to take away his manager title and just make him a wrestler. Have patience. Look at L.A. Knight. He had patience, right? He was going to make Max Dupree work. Listen, eventually they turned back L.A. Knight into his old character. See, he was not going to be a manager long term. Their plan was to always give him back his wrestling title, which is as a wrestler. Max Dupree was always temporary. He was eventually going to go back to being a wrestler. Now, look what Adam Coleslaw is doing. That was going to be him. He was going to start out as a manager, then transition back into being a professional wrestler. And then we wouldn't be here. So we don't know what would have happened. Because now look at Triple H. Triple H is now in charge. So what would have been? I think Triple H would have booked Adam Coleslaw solid. Not great, but I think Adam Coleslaw would have been a solid mid-card guy. Seriously, now look where he's at. See, his whole rep has gone down the drain, man. People will get tired of Adam Coleslaw. Because look, when people get into feuds with Chris Jericho, I'm sorry, but they don't get elevated. They get brought down, okay? Jericho has awful feuds. It's like, wow. Every feud that he's in, there's always something that has a gimmick. Every feud, he's always in some kind of gimmick match that doesn't help anybody get over. Seriously, go back and watch all his feuds. Eventually, he will have a feud that turns into a gimmick match and nobody gets over. So people gotta watch out for Adam Coleslaw, man. He will be the next Cody Rhodes in terms of people turned on Cody Rhodes in all elite wrestling. He is so far gone. If Adam Coleslaw faced Max for the world title, dude, he's not gonna win. And I feel like nobody would take that feud seriously. But I am looking forward to what would Max say about Adam Coleslaw. Will he call him small? Will he make fun of his lack of weight, of his lack of muscle? Will Adam Coleslaw allow Max to go down that route? If he didn't allow Karrion Kross to make fun of his size, will he allow Max to make fun of his size. See, a lot of people don't bring that up. The fact that he's sensitive about his size. Even though, bruh, your size is your fault. Max is like what, 5'9"? But at least he is in shape. He is swole, he is jacked up. So it's like, bruh, if you don't want people making fun of your size, do something about it. Don't run away. Don't cry about it. Hit the damn gym. What are you doing? Dude, he was on the shelf for 1 year. What was you doing? Nothing? It's like, bruh, his wife has a better body than he does. His wife is in better shape than he is. That's not good. That's like Becky Lynch being in better shape than Seth Rollins. It's like, bro, Seth cannot allow that to happen. Like, come on, man. Look, down the line, people are going to want Adam Coleslaw to get his ass whooped as a babyface, which is not a good thing. Because I'm telling you, he is becoming low-key insufferable. Dude, go back and watch that match he had with Chris Jericho. When people said, Adam Cole, baby. Dude, that chant was so low. That was the lowest reaction. Go back and watch that match. People didn't give not one single fuck about that match. Come on. Adam Coleslaw and Jericho, and nobody cared. Like I said, his stock is going down. Who looks at Adam Coleslaw as a top guy? It's like he fell off. He fell off as I predicted he would have. I knew since day one, this guy was overrated. I made countless videos trying to explain why he's overrated. Why was he in NXT for 5 years? Nobody could answer that. If he was such a big star, why was he in NXT for 5 years? Seth Rollins was not in NXT for 5 fucking years. Sami Zayn was not in NXT for 5 fucking years. If you are that dude, you don't stay there for that long. If they like you and view you as a top tier talent, you might be there for like, what, maybe 2 years, but not 5 years. 5 years, you are a lifer. 5 years is not good. That's Johnny G territory. Anybody who stays there for long, that means they are not going to be shit on a main roster. Why did it take you so long to finally hit the big leagues? Huh? Why was you in the minor leagues for 5 years? Why was you in developmental for 5 years? If you are that guy, nobody answers these questions. So overall, Adam Coleslaw was better off being a manager in NXT. Hey, you never know. Maybe Keith Lee would still be there. See, people don't bring up that aspect. What if Adam Coleslaw was still there as a manager? Maybe Keith Lee would have gotten over if Adam Coleslaw was his mouthpiece. See, we don't know that. Did Adam Coleslaw cost him his job? So I'm saying, if I was Tony Khan, I would bring that up and possibly turn Keith Lee heel. Because seriously, I think Adam Coleslaw cost him his job. We don't know if Keith Lee would have gotten over if Adam Coleslaw was his mouthpiece on Raw, on SmackDown. So once Adam Coleslaw left, Keith Lee was by himself and he couldn't get over. See, nobody brings that up. I think Adam Coleslaw cost him his job. But hey, that's just my opinion. So overall, I was right. I knew Adam Cole Slaw was not a game changer. He is in that mid card for a long time. That's my prediction. Listen, I'm done.